Good evening, guys. We got a special guest tonight. We got SirLoki coming out of the Kaka land himself. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
it was nice seeing you hop into stream, and I was like, that's a guy I should talk to. Let's get him on a Strat Chat. Let's get this down here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on that right, that's I'm on the West Coast time zone, so I tend to lurk the late night streams for me, and you were on there, so I try to catch everybody's all the content creators streams when I can, and that was the perfect timing for me. So
Yeah, it was fun seeing you drop in, and it was just like right after GAC. And so what I'll do often is I end up just like hopping into voice chat in my channel, and then just a bunch of people come in and we just have drinks and chat and stuff like that. So we were kind of in that jungle aspect of the evening, but it was a lot of fun. I think I was up that night till about 6 in the bloody morning or something, just chatting with people.
wow.
Yeah, I want to say Ranger showed up about 3 in the morning, and right when I was thinking I was going to shut down, and then I was like, well, I better stay on for a little bit longer because we had like 5 people in there talking, and then like it was off.
Yeah, so I popped on. I think like I got a little chatty in the chat room. That was the stream prior to GAC.
Yeah.
And then what you're mentioning is that was actually after our finals, and then Ranger was like, "Oh, I'm super tired. Let's go raid Yeti." I said, "Yeah, I'll go raid Yeti." Because Ranger and I stream our GACs at night, and then he was like, "Dude, I'm super tired," and lo and behold, I was listening because I stepped away. It's late my time too, but I stepped away. I kind of freshened up for bed, and then lo and behold, he was on your stream for another like 3 hours or something. And I was like laughing inside. I was like, "Wow!"
I remember I couldn't leave the conversation because, but you were right. It was 2 instances. It was I was doing the Fulbright and Azrael, and I think I had Mopils with me and stuff, and we were doing a little pre GAC chat that I like to do in the off week. And then the one you're talking about was like a Tuesday or something like that. It was like Tuesday night or something like that, or Thursday, one of the two.
Yeah, it was the finals round, I think. But yeah, it's I mean, I've been meaning to maybe collab with you and stuff like that. So thanks for reaching out too, and it's always fun, getting together with our content creators and kind of picking each other's brains. So I look forward to that.
It's been a pretty interesting week with this expanded 5v5. I had a really tough one. So in my shard, because my account's not old enough for anybody in my shard to have cam, so I can't test against JMK with cam at all. And my first opponent last week had JMK with cam, and so I couldn't just throw the kitchen sink at it because he actually set all of his GLs, all of his best teams. He just gave me the total middle finger defense. And I ended up getting stuck on that JMK just because I just like didn't commit too hard to one team. So I was like, I'll try the gas clones. People are saying that works, and I was like, okay, that didn't work. All right. So I'll try JML, JKL with like Hoda and JKR and all that stuff. I'm like, we're gonna throw that at it, and that didn't work. And I was like, well, I guess I have nothing for this. It's like, all right. But yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think what it is too is you just said it is, especially this new 5v5, people are being a little more, I don't know, cautious, and the problem too is we do 5v5 all the time, right? But where the advantage I think is going to be at the moment is you put the teams down that most people don't know how to fight yet, right? So it's like Bad Batch, it's JMK with Cam, right? And I think first round, I didn't do well in my first round either. I went 2-1, but my point with this whole thing is you're catching your opponents off guard, but then at the same time we're all learning how to better be prepared for JMK Cam or Bad Batch or all these other new squads, because they're all new to me too. So
I was just gonna say, it was like, that was one of the questions I actually was gonna ask you, because obviously where you guys are, up the upper reaches of TW. I mean, number one, most of your guild are getting all these things immediately, and then trying to figure out what the fuck to do with them. And what's the verdict on Bad Batch? Because I'm hearing mixed stuff. Because I think they look pretty good, but they don't look amazing. Like, they're not like oh, I must have them. But I'm like, they look really good. It's like, how are you feeling on that? Because they seem fairly mod intensive, Like I heard somebody talking about how they needed to make their hunter very, very fast to do things, and I'm sitting there like, hunter's base speed is terrible. So it's like that's a really huge mod investment on that team.
Right. You know, the jury's still out, at least for me, but right now they're a very disruptive team is what they kind of do. And what I mean, I'm still learning how to use them too. I didn't really wail on them, I guess, if you want to, you know, if you want to consider. I barely got all mine to Relic 5. If you want to consider that whaling, then it is. But I didn't do day one. Buy all the packs. I went semi free to play dolphin route, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I used all my currency.
Yeah, I was going to say the crystal shop. That's
yeah. I think that's how I did it. Yeah.
I think that's the only logical way to do it. I've seen some really gnarly pulls. Like I've watched a couple of other content creators do a full on whale with the gamble packs, and I mean I've seen them get lucky, but I mean I saw somebody drop like $500 and not get the character done, and I was just like, I'll never do that.
Oh wow. Yeah. You mean like not even get it to 7 stars at like that much money? That's
yeah. They got it to they were at like, I think they were like 5 vaults worth of crystals in or something, and they hit like the base crystals for every single one. Like I think their best pull was like a 10, and it was just like, oh my god. And you were watching him do it, you're like, dude, just stop. Like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, CG does this right when the new series comes out, and they got to capitalize on this, and they're in the business to make money. But I mean, going to, you know, I guess to answer your question, we have to start really we have to talk about what the hell Bad Batch does, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. If we better understand what the team does as a whole, because it's a very interesting team, and what it does is you have 2 disruptors. So you have Tech, you have Echo. Echo is obviously, you know, he's kind of the, you know, he's super fast. He rips the buffs away. He does daze, which is pretty amazing in itself. And then you have Tech, who does the translation, which is the big one, right? And we all know what translation does is it reduces the cooldowns and all that of your other abilities. So you ultimately want to set up the Bad Batch in such a way that whenever it's, you know, every other turn that Echo takes, he will sit there and keep stripping the buffs and putting days on the team.
Yeah.
And then Wrecker does his thing because he's a tank. He's going to sit there, tank for your team. And then Hunter's lead is the big one. It's the one that deals true damage. It's the
with the defense up or something, and they deal the true damage, something like that.
Correct. Yeah. So it's if you're familiar with you know, everybody's in the C pit in Challenge Rancor, and you know, phase 1 with the piggies, there's that splatter damage, right? That just total RNG. You know, either your Vader dies or he doesn't. And you
legit.
Know, it's kind of like that. That's kind of like how what Bad Batch does is you're disrupting the team, taking away buffs, dazing them so they don't assist, they don't get all the turn meter and all that stuff, and then you're working them down in the background with all this splatter true damage kind of thing from the basics. And Wrecker's got the big AoE, Hunter has the big AoE, Hunter has the TM swap, so it's a very complicated team to play. I believe they are better on offense than they are on defense because you can control who you TM swap, you can control you know, the interaction with Tech and translation, and throw it back on Echo, and then Echo can you'll get to the point where every other turn Echo will do his AoE daze and strip the buffs, and that's essentially what you want to do, you know, to the other team to kind of wear them down. And that's what I'm learning myself, you know.
And it's an interesting one because I mean, you're right on that. I think they're absolutely their places on offense. They're one of those ones where the kit is so complicated and it has to be played kind of perfectly. And I'm sure I don't know what the AI uses first and stuff. I just haven't seen them enough. I think I've only faced Bad Batch once. There's a guy in my shard from Wolfpack, and he has, you know, all Relic 7s, and he threw it out there with his JMK, and then I beat it with my C. So that was like, whew, okay, that's good. That works. You know, like
sure, yeah.
I was like, whew, okay, that was like day 1 of JMK's release. He had the alt JMK ready to go, and I was just like, oh boy.
Yep. Yeah, but I'm very much enjoying them right now. You saw during one of the other podcast shows, possibility Omega is coming pretty soon.
Yeah.
So that's not a secret anymore. They kind of already said that. And Bad Batch, there's only 4 of them right now. So there is a 5th slot. We've been trying. There's definitely a lot of videos out there with like Zaris as the 5th spot. Shakti is the 5th spot. I like using Cody. Actually,
I was gonna say, yeah, Cody's the one that I keep seeing, and I feel like it's a good one there because of the JMK relics. So it's like, oh yeah, just throw him in there. He adds that he adds that group hug to the team, which I think is one of those things that Bad Batch is missing. Like that mass assist, and he's got his AOE as well, which adds into that. I was like, yeah, it's a good little fit actually.
Yeah, I mean it works because of that, again, that true damage, that splatter damage, right? If you do the call to assist, the mass assist with Cody, hopefully you'll get a bunch of crits and then it'll reset, right? If you crit, then the Cody's mass assist will reset, right? The cooldown will reset. But Hunter will do his basic, Tech will do basic. They'll all do their basics and they'll get that big splatter damage, which is what we were talking about earlier. The big one that people kind of overlook right now is you can heal Cody. The problem with Shakti is you can't heal her with Hunter lead or Tech or any of the uniques. So she kind of just dies when she dies. And same with, Zaris is good because she heals herself and she's got her unique and all that. But Cody's definitely somebody to look at. I've been using Bad Batch Cody against like General Grievous teams and those like solid B plus, if you want to call them A minus teams or something like that. He's good. I mean, he gives GG a run for his money. You can take out Night Sisters, like those kinds of teams, right? And then if you're super good and you got the mods for it and you got high relics, there's a few JMK teams you can actually take out with Bad Batch and Shakti. There's plenty of videos on YouTube right now on that. Yeah.
I haven't watched that yet, so I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those, I always call them, I don't know, a lot of those teams that I see on YouTube, they don't work for me. They don't work in the bracket, but surprisingly, it does work. It's a lot easier on a JMK with no ultimate, but it does work on an ultimate JMK. You just got to play really fast because you risk timeout. So if you're going to go Bad Batch Shakti against a JMK Bad Batch team or even a weaker JMK team, it's something to look at. So, if we needed a reason to gear up Bad Batch right now, potential JMK counter, solid B plus A minus team counter, I think that's good enough, and especially, they're still new. So, people haven't really messed around with them and they've already shown a lot of potential, more potential than most of the teams that we've had in our rosters already.
So it was an interesting thought, but one of the things that popped into my head was, how do you feel about Kat being the 5th in with Bad Batch here? Because the Galactic Republic poll.
Yeah. I could totally see it. Kat's gonna be interesting, man. What is it? She's gonna unlock like next week or something like that. 6 days?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be crazy good. I'm sure you'll do something on your stream or we'll do a podcast again. But who knows where she's gonna shine, man? Is she, she's so plug and play, I think, at this moment.
Yeah, there's like a list of fucking like 7 teams that she would fit perfectly with, and you're just like, well, they all seem like great landing spots for her. So, like, we've only got one.
The only issue I see with her, she's gonna have the same issue as Shakti. So I mentioned earlier that the Bad Batch can't heal her.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be an issue because obviously she's going to be like prime target. I think she can she stealth herself? I don't know.
I don't think so. No.
That's a big issue.
Yeah.
So if
because then the pseudo taunt won't work really when it comes down to just the stealth then.
No, I think there's ways to get around, Wrecker and all that. But she's going to have the same issue as Shakti. And then she has no clone synergy either, which is a problem. She does have Galactic Republic synergy, but, Shakti specifically has clone synergy, and that's what makes her a decent fifth right now, you know.
Yeah, she has more clone synergy than, honestly, synergy with anything else, Shock T. So, I mean, I can absolutely see that. Because once again, you're adding that call assist, you're adding more cleanses, and weirdly enough, like one of the things that I found in when I initially was watching somebody play around with their Bad Batch was they do kind of struggle with debuffs. Like if you can't get them cleansed and keep them clear, then there's issues.
Correct. Yeah. Bad Batch, they have to have buffs, and then they have to clear the buffs on the other side for them to really succeed. So, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. The other issue, I think, with Tech is Tech can only put translation on... I'm looking at his kit right now.
I think it's only on Bad Batch, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's either Bad Batch or only Clone.
Clone Troopers. Yeah.
Yeah, when Tech is active, Clone Trooper allies gain... so he can't put translation on Cat. It's not like C-3PO. C-3PO can put translation on
literally,
Cat, which is the bigger deal. Because you want to reduce her cooldown to get the ultimate, or her not her ultimate, but her instant kill, right?
Yeah, her big hit. Get that going. So I had a funny thought. It was something I threw together because, you know, obviously Cam's going to work great with JMK. Obviously, you know, he already does. With Cat coming, I was just thinking, I'm like, you know, you can probably pull maybe Cam back. You can do your JKR, JKL counter. You can do JML with Cam on array, and then you can use your JMK, and that's where it gets interesting. I'm like, then you take your Galactic Republic team. You've got your C-3PO, your Cat. You've got Clone Wars Chewie as the tank, and then if you can, you bring in like either Ahsoka or Ayla to get more attacks at a turn, and I mean that could do some work.
Yeah, no, that sounds... I think when Cat hits, I agree with you that maybe the landscape of the teams will change a little bit, especially with JMK. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you that any way you can reduce her cooldowns and get that big hit, instant kill, you know, in like turn 4 or something like that, right? I think the cooldown's 8 is the problem with that.
Right,
thing. But,
right.
You know, there's obviously ways to manipulate that and get it going. So I do agree with you. I think that sounds kind of fun, you know. What you mentioned, the big one, or the big question is Cam and JMK just so good that you can't put Cat on the JMK team? You know what I mean? Because that synergy with Cam is just incredible. You know, and to break that synergy, I think it's an issue. You know,
see, that's one of the problems that I'm kind of having with it. Is I look at it and I can't test against Cam with my account. Like I can't just take my account and go try against somebody's JMK Cam. I just don't have any in the arena whatsoever. So me and the guy in Wolfpack, we are both 106 shards away from a 7-star Cam, both, and we're by far the closest to it in our shard. Like, so it's one of these weird spots where it's just like we both can't test against any Cam teams at all, and so I've been wanting to see like the full GR, like a proper build with that, see how it works, like more than the one time I got eaten in my GAC, you know, just like go and take several teams at it several times to go and see if there's, you know, if it's an RNG thing or what was going on with that, because like I said, I just can't see it. And
yeah, no, you know, again, that goes back to kind of what we mentioned earlier was, you know, if you don't have access to these teams or to be able to play against them, you know, how do you test them for GAC and all that? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
I totally get it.
I'm in this weird spot where now I'm like, I know it'll work if I overkill the shit out of it, so I guess I'll just plan to do that. Like, it's not much else I can do. It's just plan to murder it with everything and go ahead with that, right? Because it's like I know a couple of teams that are super expensive but will beat it. You know, because that's what people in my guild or whatever are using against it in the arena. And they're like, you know, with similar modding, this will work. Like, it works every time, basically, just as long as you don't misplay. And they're just like, do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, okay, that's silly expensive. So if I'm stuck doing that, then I guess I'm stuck doing that until I have a better solution. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the way the GAC game is right now, I mean, again, it's you put the teams down that your opponent's not used to facing. But then the other thing, too, is you pull those counters out, right? You make your opponent make bad choices on the front walls, overcompensate or however you want to call it, right? You're pulling those counters out, and then surprise, you hide something in the back wall that needed all those teams or a few key tunes like Wat Tambor and all that, and that's one other strategy, along with whatever else is going on. I mean, you put the teams down that your opponent doesn't know how to fight, and then you pull all their good little tools out of the bag, right? And then it's the back wall you run a risk of not clearing.
Yeah, true that. My favorite thing in GAC is to see how they overcommit on certain teams, or maybe go with a not secure counter, and then I try to give them those options in the front bottom. Just be like, all right, I know you like to either overkill this, or you're sending in something that probably won't do well, 100% of the time. So it's like, I'm gonna give you a chance to fail right here and see if that doesn't screw everything up for you.
Right. It's like, and it's hard to commit a GL to the very front wall, right? I mean,
it kind of is.
At least for me, I don't want to do it, but then it's like, okay, I can probably use this off meta counter, but it's like a 50-50, right? Or I can go hard on the front wall and then we grind the back wall, right? Like, I mean, it's tough, man. And I try to do it to my opponent too, but I hate being in that situation, right? Everybody does, so.
And it's a really fun one, because if you're looking at their front wall and you just go, there's no hard decisions here, then it's like, oh, well, they just failed. Like, even if they managed to somehow win, it's like their defense was a fail. You need to be giving your opponent some really difficult decisions. If they're not second guessing themselves, trying to open up your back wall, then you've set too easy of a defense.
Correct.
Like, so that's, I always say, people go like, well, what's your strategy or whatever? Because I get these crazy win streaks, but it's like I lean on bad opponents a fair amount, but when I face good opponents, usually I'll pull off a win. It's one of those ones where it's like, my whole goal is to make you make bad decisions, like give you the opportunity to make a bad decision, and then we'll figure it out, like how it comes out.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because I see some people, like, they load up their front wall and then they have crap in the back wall. It's like, well, it didn't matter what it took me to kill the front wall, because all the stuff in the back is, I can run over it. Like, what was the point? Like,
yeah.
Like you showed me everything hard on your defense on the front wall. Okay. Like, I mean, I guess that's an option, but.
Yeah. But then all at the same time, you need to have stuff for offense yourself, right? So
yeah, exactly.
You also don't want to overcommit the defense, right? So
that's what the guy with the JMK did. He set all of his Galactic Legends. He set like Darth Revan. He set a Grievous team. Like, he set kind of like everything he had except for Jedi Revan, basically. So he kept Jedi Revan. He kept Shock T clones, and he kept CLS, I think, and Vader. No, he set his CLS. That's right. He set his CLS. So yeah, he just kept Vader, Shock Clones, and Jedi Revan, and then he really didn't have anything else. So he cleared one zone.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, failed on my fleets. I have, even though I'm a newer account, I've spent the resources to have a Relic Rebels team, and I just threw that in the back. I didn't know what he was going to do on his fleets and stuff, because he mixes it up so much. And he either set both of his get-tos, I haven't checked yet, or he failed his get-tos against my rebels because they held twice.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
It's a beautiful thing.
So you had a good first round then.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I went 3-0 on that one. It was the first time I didn't full clear in 2 million GP. First time I didn't full clear. And I was really upset about that. I was super bothered. And it was one of those ones, because I was just like, people said this would work. Like, I can't figure it. I don't know. The people said this would work. Like,
I told you, man. It's like, it's those YouTube counters. They'll send you like a Division 4 counter, and it's like, okay, but it doesn't work in my division. So
yeah, you're like that. Yeah, that works when they all have like 80 speed.
Right. Or they're purple and gold, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, exactly. There's no 680s on this team. But and that's a funny one. Like, I mean, bringing up modding, that's one of the most overlooked things in this game, and I think that's modding separates the people who really want to do well in all game modes to the people who are just playing to and it's not like taking swipes, but it's like, you've got to invest in your mods. You've got to make sure that at least you're not getting blown out of the water by your opponents. I mean, specifically, I know you have ridiculous mods, so it's like, I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but you've got to be kind of on par with your contemporaries, otherwise you get blown away. And I mean, I remember when we matched up against you guys. We matched up against Cop Patrol when we first, when I was in MCFO, and we dipped our toe into the gauntlet by not really on purpose. It was just kind of like, oh, I guess we're in the gauntlet now. Okay. And it was like our first.
So you were in Final Order too then?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was. I just jumped.
Okay.
I moved to join Az and Pills and stuff over at TI, so they're doing a rebuild project over there. Yeah, that's why I was running late tonight. I was running. I'm one of the guys doing the mod compliance over there, so we were in voice chat just talking over what we want, certain specs on some teams and stuff. And I just totally lost track of time, and I'm like, I need to eat dinner. I was like, this needs to go fast. but it's I remember coming up against you guys, and you guys had us because I was in the War Council there, and I remember we pulled your mods, and you had something like 30,000 more 6E mods than us. I was just like, I was like, this is gonna be fun.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, I had a conversation with a couple of the skewers over on our Reality Skewed Gamers Discord, and I guess it's easy for me to say this, but it's like, I know Hotbot pulls a mod stat, right, where it shows, hey, you're if you're looking up guild or individual opponents for GAC, but long story short, there's a stat there that says like your opponent has 100 plus 20 speed mods, right?
Yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody because during one of our streams I was called out, and somebody was like, hey, I have more plus 20 speed mods than you. I said, okay. I mean, and I look, it didn't bother me. It's gonna sound like it bothered me, but I was just curious because I looked at the player's account, and he had like 170 plus 20 speed mods, and I was okay,
that's pretty legit. Yeah,
that's a lot. I mean, okay, but you start looking at the nitty gritty, and I'm like, okay, you have 30 arrows with like plus 20 or more speed secondary, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of strange. And then I looked at his square count, or it was either a square count or a circle count, and he had like 40 of them. And I'm like, okay, so between those two stats, he has like 20 arrows and 40 circles, right? Or it was squares or circles. But I'm just kind of like, it's kind of misleading. And here's what I'm getting at is, you mentioned I have ridiculous mods. I mean, I've been playing since day one.
Yeah.
When mods were, I'll take you back. I don't know. Did you start like day one? Were you
no
a early player?
I was.
Okay.
I started with the Jedi Revan meta.
Okay, so I think we were already in mods 2.0.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So I'm not going to take up too much of this, but it's a cool bit of history why the older accounts have so many plus 20 speed mods, and the reason being is because during mods 1.0, when you rolled a mod, the way CG coded it for the longest time was if you were showing a secondary speed stat, that speed stat was guaranteed to roll if it was a single line. Okay, so the way mods roll now is you reveal all the secondaries first.
Yeah.
Then it starts rolling, right? I mean, back in the day, if you saw a green mod with 5 speed, you are guaranteed to hit that speed roll. So at a minimum, amazing. You will have possibly a if it showed a 5 or a 6, you possibly could have a 10 or 11 blue mod off the bat.
That's a fantastic starting position too.
Correct. Yeah. So the way we manipulated it back in the day was you were farming until you saw green mods with a speed secondary showing. Yeah. Or you had a blue mod that had 2 lines, or it had 2 secondaries and a speed showing.
Yeah.
And we would farm the crap out of those things because you could get a blue mod when you start leveling it up. All 3 hits could go on the speed line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the fourth stat won't show up until it's gold, right? or it won't show until the end of purple, right? When you were
Man,
so
that is crazy.
Yeah, so you can manipulate the speed rolls back in the day, and then CG figured that out and said, "Oh crap, we have to
change that.
We have to change the way mods roll, so people spend more time and resources on it, right?"
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now. So I actually feel really bad for some of the older, the newer players that are farming the way the mods are rolling around, because now it sucks, man. Like I haven't gotten as many speed rolls as I used to back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's going back to my original comment about somebody that had like 20 arrows and 40 circles or whatever. That's fine and all, but you can only put one circle and one arrow on one toon, right? Like, so to have 40 circles, it's great, but you're putting that circle on 40 toons.
Yeah, and when you think about where you want your speeds, I mean, I can think of 40 characters to throw that circle on and everything, but you also have the rest of the set. So like
that's another problem. Yeah. So what I'm getting at is, I personally have killer mods. I think I only have 120 plus 20s. But here's the deal: is my account got super lucky in the very beginning because all I used to farm was speed sets. Okay, and I still farm speed sets to day one. I am probably the worst person to ask for mod advice because I will just tell you to farm speed sets. That's all I will tell you to do, because that's what I've done the entire time. But the reason why, like, probably the guys at Paw Patrol, I mean, they not only do we have a good synergy in the guild and we all get along and all this stuff, they went out and they recruited the guys, day one mods. We have a high number of plus 20 speed mods, but what I'm getting at is I can make sets of mods. That's the big deal. Yeah. And for me personally, I can get like let's just say 15 characters with like plus 165 speed set, right?
Which is pretty disgusting.
Right, because I've been super lucky and I've been farming all these different shapes, right? So I don't necessarily have the most plus 20 speed mods, but I have like 10 sets, right, that I can put on 2 like crazy broken squads, or I can take the 10 sets of 160s, 170s, 180s, right? Like I have a couple 180 sets. I have several 170 plus sets. I have a bunch of 160s, 150s, and all that. And going into GAC, the object is, especially with the expanded roster, is you make one toon. Like we got to put was it in Division 1? It's 11, I believe, or is it 11 squads? Is that what it is on defense?
I think so. So it's I do
3-3. Is it 3-3? Or 4-4-3. That's what I'm putting down. Yeah. So what I'm getting at is, if I have to put 11 teams on defense, I could take those sets of mods with plus 180, plus 170, plus 160,
and spread them out.
And I can cherry pick the one toon, because there's always one toon that has to be fast, right? So we talked about Bad Batch earlier. If you can get your Echo to 350, 360 speed, you're good, right?
Yeah, he's gonna wreck phase. Yeah.
Yeah, Troopers, you get your Moff Gideon to 370, 380, you're good, right? That's 2 sets down. Sith Empire, right? You want to get your Darth Revan at like 350, right? Okay, throw that set on them. Then you got all your GLs, all right? Do all the GLs have to be fast? Not necessarily.
No.
Only a couple of them do, right? So, I think, to your point, that's where the whole territory war, maybe the discrepancy is. So like when you say, we have 30,000, 30,000, that's very substantial. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. But what I was getting at was, if it's 30,000 circles, right? I wouldn't be too worried. You know what I'm saying? The problem with our crew is like, or our guild is like, we have sets upon sets upon sets, and we can make like an entire Sith Empire team. Like we can make Basti 330 speed with a 360 Darth Revan and like a 290 speed Malik with like 200,000 protection. I mean, that's the problem with us, right? But my advice to these players is like, don't get hung up with the hotbot numbers too much. But be cognizant when you're farming the mods and try to farm sets of mods. like crit damage for some reason now is like not a popular set, right? I don't know if you agree with that. But it's kind of plateaued a little bit, right? It's not as desirable.
I would agree with that, and I would say that the reason is that in most of not every, I'm gonna just caveat this, not every single character obviously doesn't benefit from crit damage more than offense, because there are some that still absolutely do. I'm just gonna say that offense in general now, because of the way that relics are and how they've changed stats, just they do so much more. It's easier to hit those like kind of damage thresholds. We were talking about it earlier when we were talking about mod compliance. Like someone like Sith Marauder, like even at Relic 7, offense set doesn't quite hit the numbers that a crit damage set will do on him because of ferocity. So ferocity with crit damage on him actually does more damage potentially if you're getting the crits, but which you should because of ferocity. But offense set sure looks better in a bot, because you're going to be like, well, I have a 9,000 offense, but whereas you can get like 8,000 on a Relic 7 Marauder with a crit damage set, and crit damage is going to knock your socks off, because you're going to get all the extra crit damage coming in from the ferocity. It's all there. It just doesn't look like it's going to be there and stuff like that. Like I still find like crit damage on Han Solo is the way to go, especially if you're getting him up to like Relic 8. And you're getting all that extra crit damage on him. I think that's a really solid place for a crit damage set. I like it on JKL, but I do think offense is better because of the stacking offense. So there's a lot of places where I think crit damage still has a home. I don't really farm them because everything seems to want offense sets now. And that's sort of like the moving away, like you were talking about, you always farm speed sets. Well, that's how I was at the beginning. I was like speed sets. I was like, I need speed, I need speed, I need speed, and I kept grinding on speed sets. And I have a pretty decent depth of for me, like I said, I started playing Jedi Revan, so I have over 60 plus 20s, which is pretty good for where I'm at in terms of the length of my account and stuff. But I have really good speed sets, so it's like, but I also spend a ton of time grinding out offense sets because I was still pretty new to the game when G13 hit. I had like one G12 team when G13 hit. It was like I had my Jedi Revan team, and that was pretty much it. And it's like I had a couple of other G12 characters. Like I took Han Solo up to G12, and like as I was developing my roster, it was like built around the idea that G13 is there. So I always I switched from doing heavy speed sets, which I still farm from time to time. Like I know there's a lot of people that don't farm them anymore, which I don't really agree with. I think you can always find homes for speed sets, even though I think speed sets, sort of like crit damage sets, are a little bit outdated, and not even outdated in a bad way. They don't have the flashy numbers like you were talking about. But I grinded a fucking ton of offense sets. I have some really incredible offense sets, and I'm kind of surprised. Like it's not something that I was planning to do. I just go, well, this character needs offense, so I'm going to farm some offense. And then I was like, well, I'm going to get this other character soon, and he's going to want offense, so I'm going to grind some more offense. So it just became this thing where I was constantly grinding offense sets. And then when they added the 6E to 6A slicing mats, the first thing that hit me was, well, crosses and triangles are where I need to focus this, because those are the ones holding my sets back. So it's like if I got a good like plus 16 cross, I'm going to try to get that shit to 20. It's got good secondaries. Pretty happy if it hits anywhere. All right, we're going to slice that one. You find your crit damage triangles and stuff, and just like, all right, I'm going to slice these up. See, oh, this one's got flat offense. The one I have on my Slacker, I think it's 16 speed, and I kept trying to hit speed, and it kept hitting offense percentage, and I was like, I'm not hating that.
No, not at all.
So I think it's
Absolutely.
like I put a crit avoidance on my Ray. I just got Ray recently, and I had a good crit avoid just sitting there that needed to be rolled. So I was like, it's 15 speed. It's got some health percentage. It's got offense percentage. I'll throw that on Ray and see how that works. And I just like slice offense percentage, slice offense percentage, slice offense percentage, slice offense percentage. I was like, not hating that.
I'm with you on that. So the issue I had, just going back to crit damage real quick is, I've been noticing that all these kits now have crit immunity, right? That's a big. So like, I agree with you. I think offense is a worthy investment right now. Even for me, like that's actually the weakest area where I'm at. But I am lucky to have several speed sets that have the crazy offense secondary numbers, right?
Yeah,
And I've been leaning on those for a long time. They haven't gone out of style for me. They're still usable. Like my B1, for example, right? Like I can get a speed set on that dude. It's kind of funny actually. It's like a 320 speed set, but I can still get the 9,500 or 10K offense number because of the crazy secondaries I have, right? I mean, it's and again, my mods are just weird. Like, those are the ones that were sitting on my Jedi Knight Guardian for the past 4 years, right? And I look at it and I go, wait a minute, this is actually a pretty decent mod. And then lo and behold, I rolled it and I was like, oh wow, it's got like what you said, it's got 14 speed, right, on a speed set, but then it has like 4% offense secondary on it, right? And then like a health primary or something, or you get the offense primary with the 150 flat offense and 15 speed, right? Like the cross, right, is like, that's like a god mod for me, right? It doesn't have to be 20 plus, but it's got all the offense I need. And I can assemble this weird set, of offense, with a speed set, and that's why I haven't, I do agree with you. I think the majority do not want to do what I'm doing because, they need other mod sets, right? Like, I mean, defense is becoming one of the good ones again. I mean, it's never really been good, but it's becoming noticeable now. Because I'm farming defense sets now, right? Like that's the funny thing. But
it's mandatory to get some
offense
now.
Is good,
Yeah.
It's weird. There's some tunes because they introduced mastery. I mean, mastery was the big one, right? Like what you said. But there's some tunes that just benefit from having percentage defense secondaries or something like that, right? On a decently speeded triangle or cross, and then it's got health secondary, like thirds and fourths, and all that. It's just like I agree with you. It's
and the 6E, the 6E to 6A slicing mats, like getting those in. I remember some people were like dreading it. They're like, wow, it's going to be, bringing people up, like getting into my mod advantage, blah 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 blah. And meanwhile, I'm looking at stuff like I'm looking at Darth Vader, going like I was having trouble hitting crit chance and potency and offense and health and all that stuff on this guy. And I'm like, I found a speed arrow, and it was just a normal one, but it had potency and offense and crit chance and I think flat health on it. And I was like, I'm gonna slice this motherfucker up to gold and see what happens. And it ended up getting like 10% potency on it. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I was like, this is incredible. Like, I was like, okay, so my potency is not going to be a problem anymore, like that kind of thing. And you're rolling for stuff, trying to hit like crit chance. You're like, well, I've got enough speed. I remember on the set that I had on him originally, before I made the last change to him that I did, I kept slicing it, trying to hit potency and crit chance, and I kept hitting speed. And it was like one of those where I'm like, I mean, yes, but no, come on. Like, I need like 5% more crit chance. And so I just keep rolling. And I ended up taking those mods off for like slower ones, because at that point now I was like, I have a 300 speed Vader. This doesn't need to happen. We're going to change this. And then like, I was like, all right, I can change this one. That's going to bring the potency to where I need it to be. And then I can get these 2 other slower mods, put that on there, and they've got enough crit chance to take me up over 90%. All right, let me slice that. Boom, crit chance. Yes. Like, there we go. It's like, we're good. Like, but
yeah, I'm at that weird decision-making process now. Every time the GC, the challenges crate comes in, what is it on, Wednesday nights and whatever, Sunday nights, do I work on my project mods, like what you're talking about, like Vader, like you have the, it's the gold mod, but you need the potency and the crit chance to roll, but then it's got a speed stat. Do I use my entire loot box to level up that one mod? Or I guess my question to you is kind of like, do you spread it around, or do you work on one mod at a time, take it up to gold, and then, do you stop at, like for me right now, I stop at, if I hit all 5 rolls of speed, I pretty much stop, right? Like, there's only a few that I will take the gold. Like what you mentioned is if you need to squeeze out more stats for like, slacker offense or crit chance Vader,
Yeah. So I do this kind of weird thing. I know it doesn't change the RNG, but it feels like it does. So like whenever I would just like slice as soon as the loot box came in, maybe I hit stuff, maybe I didn't, but I only got to roll like 3 or 4 times. So it doesn't really feel fulfilling. So what I like to do is I like save them up for the entire month. I just sit on my hands and I don't do it, and then all of a sudden, when I deploy them is really ridiculous. Like I'll be doing my normal mod work, and if I hit a couple of good mods that day, it's time to drop the horde. And then I just go through my roster and I'm like, all right, what do we need? Like who's needing something? And I just start going. And I find a character and I look through their mods, and then I go and see if I have any others. And it's like I'm already feeling like I've got a hot hand. Like this is one of the things in one of my old guilds, we used to do like a modding con, see whoever did the best on mods or whatever for the month. And it was really funny because like all of a sudden I would just drop a bunch of like, oop, plus 25, plus 25, plus 20, plus 20, plus 20, like all these in like one night. You know, they're like, how did you get 6 in one night? I was like, well, I didn't use any of my 16 mats for like 6 weeks. So they've just been sitting there. Like, and all of a sudden I just dropped them all. Like I'm just like, I'll be sitting there with like a glass of scotch and I'm like, who are we rolling tonight? Because we're feeling lucky, you know. And it's like, and it's one of those like, and then it's really feel like usually if I've hit all rolls of speed, I'm done with that mod, and I usually just turn it off. There's times when I'm like, I roll it trying to hit speed, and I'll hit like the one thing I don't want like twice. That mod's dead. I'll never roll that one again. Fuck that mod. And then it's like, you know, it's like I'll get like that. It's just it's usually on feel, because for the most part I don't really have any glaring gaps on sets on these characters, and that makes it kind of like, I don't know, almost like a luxury. But I definitely try to focus on crosses and triangles the most. If I don't have anybody to specifically slice that needs something and I want to roll out some mods, then I just look for speed sets that need love. Because if I'm just gunning for speed, it might as well be on a speed set, because that's sort of where I'm going to need them a lot of the times. You know, the stuff on my Galactic Legends tend to get rolled out. I mean, C didn't, because he hit all the stats I want from him with like 6 E's, so I just left it. You know, stuff like that. I don't know. Like I said, it's a weird one because I don't hoard my gear and resources and stuff because I'm always constantly playing catch up. But with the mods, I can just sit on them, just sit on them, just sit on them. Then all of a sudden, it's like, ooh, I hit a 16, hit an 18. I'm starting to feel lucky, you know. And then it's like, here we go.
Sure. Do you normally slice like the 17 threes or the 18 threes on your speed sets, or do you go for the big, you know, you got a 24 or a 21-4 or something like that, you know, and go for the big one?
I really do focus on those ones that are like the 16, 17, 18s. I think those are the best use. So I go at a lot of 19s, 18s, 17s, and I feel pretty good about that. 16s if they're like I'll aim for 16s if they're not speed sets, you know, and they've got good secondaries, like it's like an offense set, and I'm like, maybe I can get a little bit more speed on this offense set, or, you know, I'll hit this flat offense or offense percentage or something like that, or, you know, crit chance, or if it's got like a health percentage, if it's like on a character that gets something from that, I'll be like, yeah, you know, if we hit speed, we're happy. If we hit the health, we're happy. If we hit offense, we're happy. It's like, let's go for it, you know. Like, I feel pretty good rolling at that mod. I feel like there's no fail.
Sure.
So I really look for those ones. Like, if I see a mod with like kind of crap secondaries, I'm not gonna roll it. If it's 18 even, it's just gonna sit there. But, you know, you show me one with a couple of percentages on it and a speed set that's pretty good, like, a speed secondary that's pretty good, like 16 or something, I'll roll it. I'll roll at that. That seems like a good use of the mats, basically.
Yeah. I feel you. I like to have the little, you know, we talking about project mods. I like to do those a couple of times, but mainly I think right now I'm doing all my 17 threes or 17 or I'm sorry, 18 threes or 17 threes. That's what I'm doing right now personally.
Yeah, I
try to get those up a little.
It's a funny one because I really feel like those are great value because there's a ton of those in your roster as you're getting, especially as your modding depth is like rounding out. You're gonna have a ton of these just sitting just below 20s, And if you hit any speed whatsoever, it's going to go to 20. So it's like, maybe give it a shot. Maybe just like roll at it and see what happens. And here's the crazy thing. Like if you roll at it once and hit, you don't have to keep rolling. You've just got a 20. So you're good to go. You know, you can move on to the next one. Roll once or twice at that. If you hit, great. You know, like there you go. It's like I definitely think that's good. And it's weird because I know that's almost a little bit of a strategy that's been kind of pushed by, say, Hotbot, you know, like as I'm breaking things down. But I feel like having the ability to put a bunch of 20s on a bunch of different teams beats having like one set with all 26s, 27s.
Sure, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the value isn't in chasing 25s. The value for me is chasing 20s.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, you mentioned your mod compliance stuff. So I mean, a lot of those, you know, you got to manipulate the speeds, and you got to manipulate. You know, this tune has to go before this one, and the only way you can get that is with more of the 20 plus stuff, or even the 15 stuff, right? I mean, 15 plus is still desirable. It's good, you know.
For me, it's one of those ones where it's like, I think 15 plus is just like the holy grail. Like, it's such a good speed to have, because you can build a really solid set with 5 15s. Like, with the speed set even, it's a great set. You know, it's like, it's one of those. And, you know, there's a lot of hoo-ha in the plus 20s, but I usually am more worried when I'm like getting beat by my opponent on plus 15s. Like, if they've got, like, 40 more plus 15s than me, I know I'm in for a battle. You know, if they've got me by, like, 8 plus 20s, if they're their plus 20s versus my plus 15s, and I've got more plus 15s, then, yeah, you know, I'm fine. You know, if they're crushing me in all of the metrics, then that's obviously not good. But, you know? But
yeah, more of those kinds of mods, it just makes their C and D teams better, right? So
yeah. So I tend to, where I'm at account-wise, I usually have my opponents beat on G13s, and I'm generally either tied or one Galactic Legend ahead against the people I get matched up upon. So I'm in a really good, powerful position, and that's a big reason why I get the win streaks that I do. You know, and every now and then I get like a bit of a kicking from a very mature account, but they'll have like just me crushed in mods, and it'll be one of those ones where I'm like, okie dokie, and then they'll have all the characters that a newer player wouldn't have, and you know, those pivot players, like, you know, one of the things I think really is overlooked is fucking pre-taunts. They are so invaluable. The more pre-taunts you have at relic levels, the more you can pull off in terms of your counters. And that's something my account lacks. And, you know, I'm still playing catch-up on stuff, so it's hard to just go, all right, let's get Shore up. And, you know, I know I need him. I know I want him. I've lost 3 times since I got into old Division 1 total, and 2 of them would not have been a loss had I had Shore. And that's ridiculous, but it's true. like it's just going through, and I'm like, that counter would have worked if I had one more pre-taunt. Damn. You know?
Yeah, because I mean, you know, pre-taunts just throw off the AI, you know, every little bit like that. You know, it's kind of the pre-taunts and the leaders. I agree with you on the pre-taunt. I want to loop the leaders into there too, right? Because with the expanded stuff, there's not enough leaders to go around, right? Is the problem?
Yeah, there's not enough good leads. You know, and that's one of those things where I know they've expanded it for future growth, sort of like when they tried to tell us that Lightside Geo is reasonable, even though it's like every single account in your guild would need to have 4 more fully developed fleets each to hit that last damn star in the fleet zone on P4. But apparently that's reasonable for, 18 months ago. You know, that's when they released it, right? So, you know, it's like I get, at least they didn't do it that way for GAC. So GAC, we're going to grow into this expanded GAC very quickly. And it's funny because already there's been a big push from Division 3 into Division 2 that I've already kind of noticed. Just looking at other content creators and stuff, is a bunch of them have almost immediately gone from 3 to 2. You know, that were in 3. And it's kind of an interesting one because as I see more of those people that are, I guess, my contemporaries moving into Division 2, you know that the top of Division 2 is pushing into Division 1, you know, and it's pretty soon we're going to have the same thing. It's just going to be probably a year and a half from now or 2 years from now. It's going to be the same amount of people up in Division 1 because the game will keep expanding with more teams and more GP, and it just bloats you out. And you're going to get, like, especially, like, I speculate. I don't know how you feel about this one, but I speculate that the Galactic Legends will get ships. Specifically because they can be like a 200,000 GP item. And will help push towards those final stars in Lightside Geo.
Yeah, no, it sounds probable. I mean, it's you know, unless, you know, CG said it, right? CG said there's a shipload of content coming, so I mean, we'll see. Hopefully it's not just ship loadouts, but you know, who knows? But you bring up a good point in Lightside Geo TV that it's just mathematically impossible in the ship zone right now, right? So
yeah.
I feel like the ground units are getting there now, you know, with the release of JMK, you know, Bad Batch, and then now, you know, Cat's coming as well. I think the ground is taken care of, you know, for the most part. You know, you know, is it possible to do max stars by the end of the year? I mean, they got to drop, like what you said, right? If they drop those big ships coming, looks like we'll have a bounty hunter fleet pretty soon with Razor Crest, but we don't have a dedicated capital ship. You know, the capital ship could make a big difference. You know, a mixture of, you know, I like your idea on the GL ships, and then maybe another couple capital ships, and we'd be good to go. And they could release a couple more of the pilotless, you know, generic units, and we'll see what happens there. But good point on the GL ships, you know.
Yeah, so one of the things I think is a problem with the pilotless ships is, you know, now you got Relic 8, you know, Hyena and Y-Wing and stuff like that. They're not as good. They're not able to do what they were doing before. I almost feel like CG needs to build something into those pilotless ships that reflect the latest Relic level. And it's a strange one because they're probably gonna be like, well, I don't know, maybe we'll just release another pilotless ship. And sure, they can do that, but that seems kind of lame because it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell now. Newer players that are coming up or whatever, and they're like, oh, I'm working on the negotiator fleet. Should I get, you know, should I farm the Y-Wing? You're like, well, yes and no. Like, by the time you've got it, will Relic 9 be out? I don't know. But, I mean, when it was only Relic 7, that ship was money. And at Relic 8, it's still good. It just dies real fast. Like, it goes quite fast now. And stuff like Hyena. I remember Hyena just being a bitch to take down when I first started facing those full-starred Hyenas. And now it's like, you know, a couple of turns, it's gone. And so I feel like they got to do something about that, and I think building in a relic compliance with the current game parameters or something would be good. Or if they just did an update. Pilotless ships now, pilots are going to be reflecting off of Relic 8 rather than Relic 7. You know, and I think that would be a quick and easy fix, and I think it's something the community would love. It'd be like throwing a bone to free-to-play players and stuff like that because they just get the ship. They don't have to worry about the pilot. They're getting basically a free Relic 8 pilot out of it. So I think that would work that way. But the idea I had for Galactic Legend ships was really, when you look at First Order, that ship, that fleet has so much potential. But it just needs some sort of tank. Some sort of something that can, you know, cleanse and tank. That's really, if you had like a Plo Clone Sarge hybrid that you could bring off the bench, you know, that would make that fleet, 30 times better, something like that. But if you drop like Galactic Legend Kylo in his bomber there, in a bomber or in a cap ship or so, sorry, not a cap ship, a command ship, and it's a tank, well, now that fleet's legit. Like, that fleet just goes from like pretty good and does a lot of stuff, you know, pretty well, to being like, that is a legit fleet. And then same thing with Rey and Resistance. I mean, Resistance fleet is just a joke. And I don't mean it because the mechanics are bad or anything. They're obviously not bad. It's obviously got great mechanics. but there's only 3 resistant ships. The alt is based on resistant ships doing shit with foresight. You can't do that with just 3. You lose 1 and you're down to like, you've got 66% of a chance of doing it. You know, you lose another one, you're down to 33%. It's like, come on. Like, they need to have at least 5 ships. Just both of those fleets need at least 5 ships. So if you throw Ray's X-Wing in there as a tank, all of a sudden you don't have to rely on Bosk, and that fleet straight up fucks with a dedicated tank that can take a licking, you know? And it's funny because I don't know if people would love the idea or not, but for me it just makes so much sense because it solves so many problems on just those 2 fleets, right? Like, and then I don't know what to do about JML and stuff, but I think specifically Kylo and Rey need to have a Galactic Legend ship just for those fleets. Those fleets need it. Like, it pains me to see people not put any work into those fleets. You know, like, oh, I don't know, I never use it. Why? It's great. It's good fleet. It does stuff. You know, like, it'll kill these fleets here. It'll kill these fleets here. I don't really care about fleets that much.
I mean, I'll be brutally honest with you. Like, I did Relic 8 on my crew. On my Kylo Ren Unmasked, and probably one of the best Relic 8s I've done recently, simply because of the ship. And you're right about the First Order, probably needing a tank, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm at the point now where it's basically, it goes up, you know, if you have the right relics and the right mods and all that, you can take out a Relic 8 Rebel fleet with a First Order team, and I've come to the realization that it's an offensive fleet. I mean, at this point,
for sure.
I do agree with you that having a resistance tank and a First Order tank would be nice, but the problem is who do you take off the starting lineup to get that tank in, or do you even start the tank? Does it come off the bench? Because for that First Order fleet, man, is ridiculous, man.
Yeah. Well,
you can literally destroy a relic. Like, I fight Relic 8 Rebel fleets all the time, and I'm talking Relic 8 the entire thing. It's Relic 8 Akbar, Biston SRP double relic. It's, you know, R16 Biston viewing, you know, Han's Millennium Falcon, Relic 16, right? I mean, and then you got Biggs, right? And Biggs. I didn't relegate my Rebel fleet yet. I did my Han and Chewie, but I was at that crossroads where I was like, do I do the Biston's Ewing and Biggs and SRP, or do I do relegate Kylo Ren Unmasked and relegate Special Forces? Yeah. And I feel like for me, because I like to use it on offense a lot, that was the wiser decision for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking to my guild mates, you know, and I'm sure over in you know, TI or Shadowlands, and you know, you guys have your own whales there that probably have relegate Rebel fleets.
Oh yeah.
And I talk to these guys, and they're just like, man, I did my relegate Biston, I still get beat. And it's like, man, like, that's a big investment to not, and it's naive of me to say it, but it's like, you want to relegate something to increase your chances of winning, and to know now that a relegate Rebel fleet is just still beatable by a Relic 6 First Order fleet. That's kind of disheartening, right? Like, you know, do you want to science your relics? Sure. I mean, I guess you could, but it's like, I'm starting to realize that, you know, because I use the First Order a lot during my GAC history, like, I use it a lot. I use it against Empire. I use it against, I started using it against Negotiator, right? It's pretty good. And you know, and little things like that, you know, and I think Endall made a video where he's using Special Forces in a Radis fleet, right? So you mentioned Radis is good, but I saw him using it in a Radis fleet, and I go, okay, dude, this is pretty cool, because now, if we get a resistance tank now, you can't put these little plug and play tools in the starting lineup, right? And then it just becomes a traditional fleet that maybe that's not what it's for. And I've come to appreciate that, you know, that these fleets are kind of quirky like that. They're kind of, you know, you know, we all like to theory craft stuff, right? So it's really a theory crafter's board, you know, when you want to play around with First Order or Radis or something like that. And maybe that's the way they meant it, but maybe I'm giving them too much credit, and I'm with you that they
they deserve they deserve 5 ships. Let's be honest, they deserve at least 5 ships. Like I don't think 5 is asking a lot either. Like when you look at it, it's like how many Empire ships are there? You know, how many Rebel ships now? It's like, can we just get 5 Resistance, 5 First Order ships? Just make it happen. They don't even have to be that good. Like for me, what I think the mechanic, like you're right about one thing. First Order doesn't really need a dedicated tank. The thing that I think they need the most is a cleanse. Like they need cleanses, you know, and it's like it's all well and good to steal cleanses from other teams, but you know, especially, I mean, eventually you got to know there's going to be 3 fleets in your GAC division, right? Like on defense and 3 on offense. Like you know it's coming. Like we all can just kind of read the writing on the wall. If they're going to give you enough fleets that you're going to be able to get full stars in light side geo, better expect 3 or 4. Like 3 or 4 on defense. Like that's where they have to take the ship game if they want to fulfill these numbers on light side geo. So for me, the Galactic Legend ships were like a shortcut, because if you have a 200-something thousand GP ship for Kylo and Rey, like that's what, a fleet right there, right? That is 1 fleet. So now they only have to release 3 full fleets, right? Mm-hmm. And it becomes a question of just general GP right there. But yeah, I think First Order absolutely needs a cleanse, or you know, I mean, I like OR for the mass dispel, so I mean, I don't think they need one there, or maybe that's asking too much for the faction. But if they can get one, even something like a Gauntlet Starfighter kind of ship that can come in and just cleanse off, you know, a potential days from your crew, God, that would be such a blessing. And for me, for the Resistance, the only thing I can think of is they need something that you can replace the Houndstooth with. Because when that bounty hunter fleet becomes a thing, we all know it's based on Houndstooth. You know, we all know it's going to be in every starting lineup for that fleet. So
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So once Houndstooth becomes dedicated to another fleet, like the Radis is almost not usable. Essentially, like it's a cleanup fleet only. Like you can't just go, well, you know, I've got this Radis, I'm going to take out this Malevolence here.
I'll be honest with you. I've been experimenting with just Radis and the bounty hunters. It's been actually pretty cool. And unfortunately, I mean, they don't get, you know, she doesn't get to her Holdo maneuver, but the ability to heal a lot, you know, on Houndstooth and spread breach, and then Razor Crest just kind of picking and choosing who he wants to kill is it's pretty good. You know, I'm using it against negotiator fleets in arena, and it's been fun to test. I'm excited on the 7-star Razor Crest, and you know, I'll be doing more testing there. But you know, the bounty hunter fleet right now, the capital ship is out, and like the jury's still out for it. But I'm leaning Radis. I actually want Mace to be a good one, because at one point Mace was meta.
Yeah,
with all the healing and the target locking and all that.
Yeah,
like, it's a pain in the ass, man. At least it was back in the day. So, you know, to have a Houndstooth that just sits there and takes all the hits, and you're spreading target lock, and then the bounty hunter team's spreading breach. I mean, it's just, you know, maybe it's overwhelming. You know, I don't know. But then to your point is like, we need a mass cleanser, right? Yeah. You know, more mass cleansing and all that, and there isn't any of that yet, really, and except coming off of the reinforcement, right? Coming in as a reinforcement. But, so to have somebody that continuously cleanses like that is going to be key against the bounty hunter fleet, I think.
I was going to say, like, you almost, if you had, say, Galactic Legend Kylo have a ship, right? And maybe he's not a tank. Maybe he's just another TIE fighter, right? Which is totally probable and possible. It makes sense. But what if he has a hyena-like thing where every time he basics, he cleanses himself and one other First Order ship? Like, how cool would that be? That would solve so many of those little issues. So, like, you were saying that you were running your First Order against Negotiator, and so there was a guy I was in a guild with. Well, he's in Mon now. He was in MC Final Order with me, Egrace Gamer, and he's a humongous fan of the First Order, and he loves using it against stuff. And I've seen him do so many, like, I've watched him stream so many bloody damn battles against Negotiator. And, you know, sometimes he just bodies the Negotiator, just takes it right out. Everything goes the way it needs to go. And then every now and then, you know, there's like something wonky happens, and it's like, oh no, why'd that happen? Oh, like, I don't know if we can recover from that. And it's a weird spot because it still looks fine, but, you know, he's done it so many times. It's like, oh, no, I think we're done. And then it's like, yep, we're pretty done. And one of the things that just was constantly killing him every time I'd see him, when he was testing stuff, he was just like streaming it. Like, I'm going to be testing this. I'm going to do like 5 or 6 battles. Anybody wants to watch it. And so he was going through and like trying Negotiators in his shard. And I was like, every now and then there'd be like a clone Sarge come off the bench first. And it's like, well, we just lost. Like, clone Sarge, insta loss. And it's fucking funny because literally every time I've seen him try to play through the clone Sarge, it's just, yep, that's a loss as soon as it comes off the bench. It's like, oh, unless that dies immediately, we're screwed. Nope, it's Relic. Okay, we're gone. Yeah, thank you.
I like your theory about GL ships. Do you think the GL ship will have an ultimate?
That's a good question, and I think they should do. So how I think the GL ships will be obtained is, number one, you will have to have the Galactic Legend, obviously, and then I think there'll be like an event, but they'll be kind of, I think they'll be kind of free in the sense like they won't cost a bunch of like investment. Like, I think there will be something like a ship marquee drops for that fleet, which is why I keep focusing on First Order and Resistance. You're going to have that to 7 stars. You're going to have that pilot, if there is a pilot, to 7 stars and have him Relic. And so it's going to be like a minimal investment thing, but it's like, if you have that Galactic Legend at Relic 8, you've got all of the ships, 7 stars, no 5-star business for the cap ships, all 7 stars. You've got, you know, Relic 5 on all the pilots or better. Okay, now you can have a Galactic Legend ship. That's sort of, I think it would be a ticketed thing, just like the Galactic Legends, which would be super frustrating. And then you have to do the event, and to get if there is an alt, you have to do it the same way you get the Galactic Legend alt. And what would the alt be? I don't know. Like, I don't know, like, what's overpowered for ships. There's so little recovery in ships overall. Some fleets, like, even like a mass AoE that does a lot of damage would be just too devastating. Like, I don't know what they would do with that. So maybe there wouldn't be an alt, or maybe there'd be an extra ability that's unlocked. That's not an alt, but it's like, you know, it has a cooldown and it does something strong for the fleet. But it does something for your ships. So, like, say for First Order, it's a mass cleanse. And, you know, calls everybody to assist. Like, that would be disgustingly powerful. But not something that you can't fade with a fleet that already exists, right? It's like, so with someone like Rey, with what she does, maybe she gives out damage immunity and, you know, foresight, mass foresight, and a damage immunity on one character that you've clicked on if they are resistance. Maybe it's her. Maybe it only does damage immunity on her for 1 turn. I don't know. But, like, that would be something that's very powerful, but you can overcome it.
Right, and then it would help with Radis too. So that's
yeah. Like, that's kind of my thing, is because both of those fleets have a lot of potential that is unfulfilled. Like, they both can do good stuff, but if they had a little bit more help, they'd be, you know, a really solid, consistent anti-meta. And I'm going to tell you this right now, this ship meta needs to just die in a car fire. I'm so done with it. Like, I'm so sick of the same counters, the same fleets every day, the same way every day. Like, that's why I started kind of like that project of working on my Rebels, is because they're really handy on offense. They beat pretty much everything. And more importantly, is like, when I get everything finished eventually, then I can climb with it because it's different.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you were going to work on the Rebels, I think, you know, there's a few key ships you got to go to Relic 7 with.
Yeah, I know.
You know, if you're going to Relic 8, do Han and Chewie, but, you know, for the most part, I don't know. I'm still at, like, Relic 7. Yeah. Relic 6, Relic 7 on most of them, and I'm good. You know, like what you said, they pretty much beat anything. You know, if you get the assist, yeah. Again, it's all RNG based, unfortunately. But yeah. You know, if you get those assists and you know, your Han and Chewie or Relic 8, you know, ideally they can pump out enough damage and pretty much take down anything, like turn 1, turn 2, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things. That's where I was planning to go with it. So I have my bits in SRP. They are Relic. I've got them at Relic 4 right now. I do plan to take them up to Relic 7. It's just one of those Relic mat things where I just don't have enough. I keep... Sure. It's like I get another Galactic Legend, and then I'm low on Relic mats, and then I have to save them up, and then you're working on another one, and then it becomes this kind of issue, especially for newer accounts like mine that just didn't have thousands and thousands and thousands of gear pieces just chilling there that they could churn through. Which I'm assuming you've probably churned through most of it by now too. With 5 GLs, right?
Yeah. I can't. I mean, I'm low on the. It's all the. God, was it the bronzium wire, man?
The
one that's killing me right now. Yeah, because I'm out of all that low gear. I mean, I'm just out. Like I had thousands of it, but I mean, I have a crap load of Relic 8s and Relic 7, so I mean, it's pretty much depleted.
Yeah.
I got my stash saved up again for Kat. I'm gonna take her to Relic 7, probably Relic 8, day 1. I got that saved up, and then Omega, I guess, is coming. So, I mean, jury's out on her. I got to see if she's cool. And then from there, I'm kind of just, hopefully there's a little bit of a lull, because, I mean, I'm kind of burned out, after JMK and Bad Batch. I'm just burned out, man. Like
that was a lot to drop really closely, because they dropped BAM, right? And everybody assumed something was coming right after BAM, because they're like, this is just a resource suck to make it so you have to buy the stuff in the next one. And then they dropped that like Mando team or whatever. That wasn't very good. And people did that too. And then Bad Batch hit, and Bad Batch looked legit. But of course, it's all marquee stuff, and they're super gear intensive. Someone was telling me that it was like, 1,400 Kairos for all 4 or something like that. Some crazy number. Which was...
Yeah, I want to say it's even more. It's probably like 2,400 when you're all done with it.
Ooh, fucking hell.
It's because you still have the Cairo gear. You have the Kyrotechs at gear 13 too. They start at gear 9, and then it's all the way up to gear 13. You're going to need Kairos, and I want to say they're up there. I mean, they're probably about 400 each or something like that. Like, it's something stupid, but
like
every tune coming out is gonna have Kairos. That's the problem.
But
it's the new Carbantes, So
and it's strange because they were talking about trying to get it so people could get things to G12 better, and then they start doing this stuff, and you're like, well, does this help people get to G12 better? I don't think so.
I mean, I look at it both ways. You're farming one piece, and let's be honest, it's everywhere. That's the thing. It's not like back in the day, man. Back in the day when you had to do stun guns and stun cuffs and I mean, we still do that. And Carbantes was the worst. I mean, it was just you had to do 3 pieces. This one, the Kyrotech, it's 2 pieces, right? I mean, so. But the problem with going back to BAM real quick, the problem with BAM was you needed everything. That's the problem with that guy. And he's not a GL. Like, he had GL level gear for a non-GL, and it was and he's just okay at the moment. He's good, but it's maybe Razor Crest saves him. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen anything stellar at 6 stars, so 7-star Razor Crest is going to be okay. A little bit better.
It's looking.
It'll
like
have the speed.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking like I'm three loot boxes away from full stars on the Razor Quest, because I only went for the Gear 5 box because I was like, man, I'm so far away from BAM that I'm not gonna bother. Because I'll get them, and then I'll unlock it the month after. So who cares?
Sure. No, that's good.
Yeah. So but with Cat, I was like, okay, max box is all the way, and so it's a weird one because just as the fates aligned, Cat's gonna arrive just as I'm starting to work on BAM, and I'm like, fuck, I've got Quill. Quill's going to G13 in the next day or two, and then it's like IG11's like at gear 10 or something like that, and then BAM's sitting at like G9 or something like that. It's just like those 3 characters, and I will have a team because I've got extra crap that I can throw with them that makes a functional team that I can throw on defense, which is, when I move up to Division 2, which should be at the end of the 3v3 season, it's like I'm going to need that extra team. So that was like, well, I better do that before I do JMK, that's for sure. And then it'll give me the Razor Crest, and the Razor Crest looks like it has, some potential. We'll see how that goes. Because I've always liked fleets. That's always been one of the main focuses of my account. And I've always been like looking to keep an advantage over my opponents via fleets. Like that's one spot where I'm like, if I put resources here, it's gonna win me matches, and it really has. So that's something I always kind of try to like even if you don't like fleets, you should work on them.
Well, I mean, you work on them to get the crystals in arena. I mean, that's just.
Oh yeah.
It's priority,
Well, that's one of those ones where a lot of people will do just enough to get the crystals in arena, and then, when it comes to the game mode, like they'll like GAC, but they don't like ships, so they just are like, oh, whatever, I'll just attack with like Negotiator and Malevolence every time. It's like, well, against you, someone like you, I'm gonna set both, and then I'm gonna smash whatever you got with like my Rebels and my Finalizer. So.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I'll get good banners too, so I hope you can really pull those mirrors off, because, like it's like with the nerf to the Malevolence, that Negotiator counter goes wrong sometimes. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to back up a little bit and revisit your comment about the pilotless ship.
Yeah.
So I think the quick fix, and I know CG's about the quick fixes.
Oh yeah.
They need to address the pilotless ship, so it just scales with the relegate. It scales with the capital ship, right? I think that's the easiest way to do it.
Yes.
And I think it's already in the game, because my understanding is you do like a relegate GG. The summoned Vulture droids, I believe, scale with him.
They do. You will notice extra damage and a little bit more survivability, but not a ton.
Yeah, speed and what have you. But I think that would be the easy fix. One thing I wanted to add too was, we talk about, hey, they need tank units and all that. I'm really I'm feeling, you mentioned the extra ability on a potential Galactic Legend ship, but I'm actually thinking, what if you just gave like Radis and Finalizer a Mon Mothma type summonable tank, right? So then, they basically get reworks.
Yeah,
and
that would be pretty cool.
And it's easy, right? It's easy for CG to do it, because they do it now with Mon Mothma and GOs and what have you, right? They summon a unit, whether it's an attacking unit or a tank unit.
Well, see, they can do that by adding an extra ability and then making it so it's only available when you could have reinforced. So, like, it works off the reinforcement cooldown, so you can't do it first turn, but you can do it second turn, kind of thing.
Or they do it like, look at Malevolence right now, right? You do any of those abilities, and then a Vulture droid comes out of nowhere, right?
I
don't know if they'll be that generous, but, it's just an idea to fix something, right? I mean, we all think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's broken, but there's obviously missing pieces.
Yeah.
That they could easily fix by doing this. I don't know,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Here's something that goes back to what you were talking about with bounty hunters needing the cap ship. I know that in the data mine, right? They found a Nuke Gunray cap ship long ago. What if they just threw out a Nuke Gunray cap ship and it gets like, it's bare bones separatist, but since he's the trade consortium, it has tons of bounty hunter and cargo ship synergy. So it'd be one of those ones like, if you didn't want to run bugs with Malevolence for some reason whatsoever, you could run them here, but it really shines with cargo ships and bounty hunters. Like,
no, I agree with that. Yeah.
It's like, I think that would just be a really quick way to get that fleet down, and it throws people a bone. And also, not everybody has a relic newt, so there'd be some gear investment there for majority of the players, because he's a good character, but he's often overlooked because he does so well at G12, because he's a mechanical guy and it's not just off of his stats. So I feel like that could be a good little fix there. I mean, obviously everybody wants Hondo, but I'm a big fan of the character. It's like I do have a Hondo pop just sitting on my desk right here. Like,
sweet. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's one of those. It's like I'd love to have him in the game, which also gives them a chance to drop a marquee, and the marquee obviously is revenue, and then they can do, Like I have this funny feeling that whatever cap ship comes next is going to be in the Get To store. I just don't see very much in the Get To store that at this point CG's got to be looking at it and getting a little bit almost nervous that people have too much hoarded Get To materials that they can just drop on Kairos at some point. So I feel like they're going to go, okay, we got a new cap ship for you. It's going to take Get To. Like, I feel like the Get One store is done. I don't think they're going to add anything to more to that. There's a lot of stuff in there now, and the gear, the gear there isn't the gear they're trying to really sell you. Like, they're still selling that gear, but they're not trying to really sell you that gear. They're trying to really sell you the G13 materials for the G12 Plus pieces, Kairos, all that stuff. That's what they're really trying to sell you. So I feel it's almost weird that there's not more stuff in the Get To store right now. Like, I have like 120,000 and I buy Kairos with that. So it's like,
yeah, I'm in the same boat, brother. Like, I just burn it all on gold, the right side G13 pieces and and Kairos,
And still it just keeps stacking up, And it's kind of funny because for me that doesn't pass the sniff test with CG. Like, I know there's got to be something going in there soon. And the only reason is because they wouldn't want, like, a guy like me just having a bunch of free Kairos and a free G12 Plus pieces when they can sell me those for crystals. You know? So, like, I feel like whatever happens ship-wise, I think it's going to happen in that store specifically. And so if they do, like, a Hondo one, I could see it being could be like a marquee and then maybe an event. Once you have 7-star Hondo, you can go and get his ship, right? Like, he can get that round disc. And then as soon as you unlock it, just like with the Negotiator, now you can buy the shards from 5 to 7. And, I would imagine they'll be expensive too. I don't think they'll be as cheap as Malevolence and Negotiator, but, there is that.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, just looking down now, we've been chatting for like 90 minutes, so I should probably let you go.
No worries, man. I can talk about SWGOH all the time, dude. So.
Yeah, that's like the good thing and the bad thing about this format is, like, I mean, I've sat here and just had crazy long conversations. I think I did one with Dialar that was almost 3 hours, and it was just like, oh my god. He's like, I gotta go to work in a couple hours. I was like, yeah, we'll just call it a quits then. Is there anything any topic you want to talk about briefly before we shut her down, or?
No, I think we touched on pretty much. I mean, I don't know if you want to speculate on Omega. That's going to be the topic of discussion, I think, this week. I think something's going to drop probably Wednesday or whatever. But what's your thoughts and what do you think? I guess the big question I had for you was, how many factions is she going to belong to? Because that's going to be, to me, I think, the breaking point for her. And the reason I say this is because we all know she's probably going to be Bad Batch.
Yeah, she has to be.
She has to be, right?
Yeah.
But is she Galactic Republic? And this is the big one because, is she going to be like a Wat Tambor type? I see her as a Wat Tambor type armor, Hermit Yoda, possibly C-3PO, but not maybe a little more flexible. Maybe she's got those locked buffs like weapon tech or Beskar armor or something like that. But between you and me, I was really surprised that they made Bad Batch Galactic Republic. Seriously, because
I was as well, because I get why they're Galactic Republic, but also, like, everything that's happening with them is post Galactic Republic.
Exactly, and maybe that was an oversight on CG because they have a lot of synergy, man. I mean, the talk on the town, a week ago was, I was on the Gambit podcast and we were talking about, like, what do we do with Padme? Padme Bad Batch is pretty good.
Padme Bad Batch is actually awesome. It's like
correct, yeah,
really good.
Yeah, because if you're putting all the Padme pieces onto JMK, what are you going to do with her, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like that was an oversight on CG. They gave us a bonus on that. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Armor, in my opinion, is very underwhelming because she's not Scoundrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically she was a very honorable character, right, in The Mandalorian. They could have made her a Scoundrel, and then her synergy would have, off the charts, I think.
Yeah, she would have brought up a lot of those like older scoundrel teams that are cool but not quite
Yes.
where you need them to be. That you throw armor in there with scoundrel synergy, and oh boy, like some of those would be just downright dirty. Like trying to get through, like L3 and in the old like Kira Vandor team, that would just be a nightmare with Beskar on her. Oof, baby. And it's like,
I mean, you can do it, but the problem is she doesn't have the scoundrel synergy, so she's not quite there, or you can do the armor lead with L3 and get all that scoundrel bonus and all that. I mean, I don't know, but I guess my question to you is, I have a feeling that they're just going to keep her Bad Batch.
Yeah, I think she'll be light side Bad Batch. And here's the thing: if we can speculate that she's maybe,
I mean, is she going to be Clone Trooper? Right, that's the big one again. Because if she's Clone Trooper, right, she will have synergy with Shaak Ti, which could be devastating. I mean, I don't know yet, but
do you know what's really funny? I think she has to be Clone Trooper. I think she has to be.
She's a clone, but she's not a clone trooper, right? It's the same.
She's,
the argument is Boba Fett, right? I mean, Boba Fett is a clone, but he's not a clone trooper, right? And he doesn't have clone trooper synergy.
But it was.
But can you imagine putting Omega with like Rex Lead or something, or you put her with man, I don't know, like the synergy that she can have if she's Galactic Republic and she has synergy with Cat.
Yeah,
we got a problem. I mean, I think
that could be. I mean, obviously we don't know what her kid is, but I'm assuming in my mind, I think Omega is going to be extremely powerful in a support role. Like in what she does. I mean, she has that bowcaster or whatever, and I'm assuming she'll have some good single damage, but I don't think that's going to be like the big selling point. I think she's going to do a ton of like, support stuff, sort of like, you were talking about how they have disruptors in Tech and Echo. I think they're going to have 3 disruptors: Tech, Echo, Omega. And it's one of those where they should be able to shut down a fair amount of teams. Like I had a feeling, when we knew, like that Omega was going to come before it was obviously confirmed, as everybody should have. And the question becomes like, how does it become playable for CG? When you watch Bad Batch, and I almost want to say like, and obviously, it's not, maybe it's just a feeling, but the way she's kind of lucky makes me kind of feel like she's Force attuned. Like
probably.
So I could see her being an unaligned Force user.
Yeah, I
could see that. I mean, obviously that's just pure speculation on my part, but just when I look at some of the stuff, like the first time she ever fired a gun or whatever, she like shot in when they're breaking out of the clone labs on Camino, right? And she was just like dead aim with it. It was just like, okay, and then there's one of those things where she seems to be rather lucky, and things seem to go her way, right? And like when you watch her strategize with the holotables and stuff, and she just kind of picked things up in a kind of way that in the Star Wars world always kind of means Force user. So I just got that feeling, but obviously, I don't think CG be the one that breaks the news. So if Omega comes soon, probably won't be there. But it's fun to think about.
I mean, so here's the deal, right? The next Bad Batch episode is Friday. So I mean, if it gets revealed somehow that she can magically wield the Force, and I think that's good timing, right? And then your CG, you drop the kit, you drop, all that. But it's. That's pretty much the only thing that was on my mind tonight was, you think she's going to be a priority over Cat? I mean, I don't know. If you, so let's say you're a player in my position, right? Where I have the Bad Batch built, right?
Yeah. You have Cam and the Bad Batch. That's the thing. You have Cam and the Bad Batch.
I do.
And
yeah.
With that, I would say, you could probably go Omega first, if she drops very soon. I think Cat's going to be great all over the board, but it's like you were talking about before, and obviously all the reported stuff, because like I said, I can't test against it. Everything I hear is that Cam basically takes JMK from like a pretty good team to like a really fucking fantastic team, and so it's one of those where it's like, well, I mean, do you want to have all of his kit available and just run GR Jedi? Like, you could do some really great stuff with that team, especially because Isla Sakura is a support. So she's going to get all that. You just slam health on her, get her up to like Relic 6, Relic 7, and all of a sudden, I mean, Isla's going to be doing some crazy stuff. You can bring a lot in there with just Jedi, and with that, you know, it's almost like if I was you, I'd wait for some of my guild. I know some of your guild is going to have Relic 8 Cat like 2 seconds after it's possible.
Yeah.
So,
no, I mean,
so like
I'm in the position to do it too. I mean, I think a lot of us are.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like a gear crunch at that point, right? Because they're dropping Omega and Cat at the same time, you know, and.
So what I was just going to say is what you could do is hold off a day, and just let your guild figure it out for you, because they'll tell you how good Cat is with JMK. Within 30 minutes, you'll have a pretty good idea if she brings something to the table with, you know, Cam and Cat and the team, and if you then you can go, well, maybe I can just hold off on a little bit. Like, you probably have enough to take her up to like G13. You can take her up to like Relic 5 probably pretty easily. It's just the Relic 8 is when it starts becoming a thing. So I mean, maybe you do a little halfway, bring her up to like Relic 5, and just you know, try her out across the board. You can try her out with Rey. You can try her out with CLS. I think that'll be dynamite. You can try her with Padme to kind of go in there and replace Ahsoka, who got wiped. You know, see if that brings that up. And there's a lot of spots you can throw her that look good. Hell, I think she could even do some work in a JTR team, because you get all that TM control and stuff from JTR. And then Cat's just there waiting, poised to just knock somebody out, right?
Yeah, for unaligned force user too. Yeah,
exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, so that was one that popped into my head, because I'm like, that JTR team can really TM lock people. So it's like, if you can stand to have Cat as your 5th, I mean, that's going to add, number one, all sorts of stats to, you know, Rey, you know, Jedi trading Rey, which is great. You know, that's going to help. And then on top of that, you've got, like, you know, all the exposes and recoveries and stuff. So you could do like a kind of a funky team with that. You could do like JTR with BB-8, and you could go with Resistance Trooper for the extra exposes, and you can bring in Cat as your 5th, and you've got, you know, C-3PO in there for more exposes, and all of a sudden you're just locking up that other team, and Cat's just there waiting, and then whichever one's hard to kill, there it goes. It's over.
Right.
Yeah, so something like that could work. I mean, I think Cat's one of those ones, like I like Moff Gideon, where I think it's just going to plug in all over the fucking place, you know, and it's going to do good stuff. The weird thing that I've been kind of talking about in my Discord, actually, with some of my regular chatters over there, is what's she going to do to make these teams beat stuff that they can't already beat? That's everywhere where I plug her in. What does that make that team beat that it didn't already beat? That's where I'm having that struggle. That's where I'm going. Like, looking at the kit, I see how this is going to be great. I mean, the one I think that has the most potential to be like a GL killer is probably CLS, replacing C-3PO with Cat, getting all that extra. I mean, Honshu's first is going to be bloody devastating. So if CLS can rip it down, you know, especially if you need to clean something up, like, that could be perfect. In terms of that, but like, you got to think CLS with Cat could probably potentially rip down JML pretty damn quickly, unless they've set like a super premium JML team, stuff like that. That's sort of what I was thinking about when I look at her kit.
Yeah, she's I don't know. I hope she's gonna be good, because we've all waited for this long. I just don't want her to be okay. I want her to be pretty damn good. And I hope she has that plug and play ability kind of thing going. You know, the jury's still out for me, simply because, you know, she's not a rebel faction. Yeah, she'll have synergy with unaligned force user CLS or something like that.
And scoundrels.
Yeah, well, that's the big one, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, to answer, you know, to back it up a little bit, you know, maybe she makes the Bo-Katan team actually pretty good, you know, because they have since then been very underwhelming and maybe she takes that team to the next level. If you're going to throw her in a GL squad, I mean, I think throwing her with Ray is just stupid.
That's going to be.
She's just going to hide and do her thing in the background, and then do her ultimate or her instant kill. I think that's going to be a given, and we're going to see a lot of that on defense now.
I would expect to see teams like Ray, RH Finn, 2 tanks, and Cat, and just be like, all right, try to kill Cat first, because if Cat's there when my ult goes off, thank you for playing.
Right. Or even the like IG Quill, Cat. And then L3.
Jesus,
that thing sounds horrible.
that really sounds like something I'm gonna have to do to some poor unsuspecting fellow.
It sounds terrible, brother. But
I was just thinking, just right when you said it, I just go, oh. I was like, because that takes the team. The problem with that team when they run it normally is there's not enough damage to really do anything. But it's like you throw Cat in there, and it's like Cat, Quill, IG, L337, and Ray, and you're just going like, man, that's just mean. Especially if they're going to try to do it with like a more traditional off meta, like they're going to try to do like a Jedi counter or something like that, or oh god, they're going to do like try to Vader it, right? Because you can Vader the IG Quill one, but it's like, oh man, putting Cat in there just like, well, you have to kill Cat first, and you better kill her on that first shot, because if she gets damage immunity, you might not get a chance to kill her again for a while, and that could be very bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super looking forward to both of the kits coming out. I mean, I want to believe, going back to Omega real quick. I feel like she's going to be one of the escapers. Like if they're all dead, then she escapes from battle.
Yeah,
I like your idea about the. She's super lucky. So, I mean, I want to, thinking of the way CG thinks, they don't want kids to die in this game. So I'm thinking, you throw her in that team and she probably has like permanent stealth, or she has some kind of a damage immunity that she procs every other turn, or something to that effect. Right. One mechanic, and when Crumb was on our Reality Skewed Gamers stream, couple weeks ago, I was saying that there's no character in the game yet that when you attack them they proc a debuff, which would be kind of interesting, because if you attack Omega, then maybe she inflicts a debuff on your tune, which would be kind of interesting, right? Because they haven't done that yet.
Well, get this. I just had an idea. I sort of cut you off, but it just jumped in my head right as you said that. What if, like, going on what you said, they don't want kids dying. So that was the one that I was struggling with on Omega coming into the game. But what if she has, like, perma-stealth, and she cannot be defeated and escapes from battle, like you're talking about. But, like, she can't be targeted. She's there just to help out. And, like she does in the shows. But what if she has a shared unique thing, like the Phoenix Squad does, where her uniques are shared, and she does something like whenever a Bad Batch player is damaged, they give debuffs to the damaging tune or whatever, and each Bad Batch gives a specific debuff or something like that in her kit, or something like that. That has a lot of possibilities, and that takes that old shared unique thing, right?
The one thing that comes to mind, and I'll actually take it back. There's one tune in the game that you can hit and it'll do a debuff, and it's Jawa Scavenger, right?
Oh yeah.
So she did something like that, where it's like, hey, if you land, if you attack her, or if you somehow do an AOE and it hits her, imagine if she puts like locked days on your character. Like that would be devastating.
That'd be ugly.
Or some kind of buff immunity, right? Yeah. Because that's kind of what Echo does, is he takes the buffs away and does days. But what if you had somebody that procced buff immunity whenever you hit them, right? Like Omega, right? Like that would be pretty cool.
It would be.
Yeah. And then along with her, we all think she's going to have like tank tech, or, she'll have the techs or the Beskar armor type buff ability. So, could you use her with Sith Eternal? I don't know. That would be kind of funny, right? Because now you shove Watt and armor and Omega and whatever to buff up Sith Eternal, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like that's like the only way to I know that people in my guild are beating JMK with Cam in the arena. Like, it's like put Hoda, Watt, and armor with Sith Eternal, and they're just like, all right, that's a guaranteed win. Like, I'll just put it on auto now.
As long as they don't get taken out or ability blocked or shocked or stunned, then you're good. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man. I mean, that's really all that was the only last topic, you know, I wanted to maybe talk about because they're both coming, man. I mean,
Well,
also
Robo Maul is coming too. He's going to be the next Conquest character.
You think so? Or did they say it already?
It got leaked.
I don't know.
It got leaked.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know, brother.
It was I won't mention names, but it was leaked on a very prominent streamer's stream, and he was like, "Whoop, you're not supposed to see that." So
wow.
Yeah, it was so that we know is coming, and that's really cool. That's a character that I did want. I wanted him as the Galactic Legend. I don't like this whole Lord Vader mumbo jumbo. It's like all he does is get dunked on by Kenobi. So how's that Galactic Legend? Anywho.
So I guess I mean I'll have a crap load of questions now that you told me. You know, we want to end the podcast, but you know. You say Robo Maul, but is it like Robo Maul from, or do we know which Robo Maul it is? Is it?
It's robot
2 legs.
Is it? It's not spider legs. I think it's two.
Is it 4 legs?
Oh,
okay, so it's not 4 legs. Yeah. It's like it's like Solo, right? I mean, at the end of Solo, we saw Robo Maul with Kira.
It's the season 7 Maul. Season 7 Maul from just like
was
Cat.
Was he still Robo legs there?
Yeah. Wait, no, he wasn't. Wait,
he was already. He was.
No. God damn it! Now I'm lost.
I thought he got his legs back, right? I mean, I'm going back to like. Because the Night Sisters gave him his legs back, right? Or did the Night Sisters give him Robo legs?
They gave him Robo legs. They turned the spider legs into Robo legs, and then he had his Robo legs.
Okay.
So for a second, I was like, "Wait a minute, whoa! You just threw my brain
that's
just
fine.
for the loop there."
I got confused, brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so it's the same. Hopefully, Scoundrel Maul. I don't know.
Yeah,
that was the big one.
Yeah, it should
right?
be unaligned Force user Scoundrel Maul. That's what I'm expecting him to be. No
Sith, or you think he's Sith?
No, he's at that point he is not Sith, in my opinion. It was one
Fair
of those
enough.
When he got his butt kicked by Sidious and Sidious killed SWGOH. That was like, sorry guys, spoilers. It's like when
if you haven't seen it, come on,
yeah,
man.
I know. I know. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, it's
that is not a spoiler anymore, brother.
But like when that happened, that was the end of him being a Sith. In my opinion, that was like.
I almost feel ripped off a little bit because he needs another faction, because if he's going to be the counterpart to Cat, Cat is Scoundrel, Galactic Republic. That dude has to have one more faction.
You know what the other faction is, and this is going to blow your mind.
Mandalorian. I hope so, because I do want to put him behind Bo-Katan. I think that would be awesome.
Imagine you got Maul with his normal lightsaber and the Darksaber.
Oh,
another Darksaber character. How cool would that be?
He was the ruler of the Mandalorians at one time.
Exactly. So I could see him being the missing link in the Mandalorian team. Yeah. So I mean,
I hope so, man. You and me both. I think that would be epic, because I'm gonna feel ripped off if I understand he's not Sith. Okay.
Yeah.
But you got to give us another faction, because Cat has 2 factions, right? I mean, she's got Scoundrel and she's got.
I was kind of surprised she was Galactic Republic. That, not gonna lie.
That's what I'm saying too.
I was a little bit
surprised.
Exactly. Because she was Commander Ahsoka Tano. She was still doing stuff for the Galactic Republic, but she was only just like a citizen. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't. She was finishing something. That's it. Like, she had resigned from the Jedi Council at this point. She had to correct people. I'm not a Jedi. Like that kind of thing. Like. Yeah, I think I mean, I get why they gave it, just like with Bad Batch. I get why they're Galactic Republic. Like, it's like, It's like, I don't think they needed to be Galactic Republic.
Correct.
Yeah. But anyway, on that note, we it's like we're almost at 2 hours now. On that note, thanks so much for coming in, man. It was a really good chat. I really enjoyed that. Especially we got into mods, I think, more than I think any other of my podcasts have been, which was really cool. Especially in the strategy of slicing and going around and what you're focusing on and that stuff, because That's always a good talk, and that's always something that a lot of people have questions about. And sometimes they don't ask them, so hearing what other people are doing definitely could help with that as well. So I think that's good. And if you guys didn't know, this is SirLoki coming from the RSG, man. He's in Call Patrol as the #1 TW guild in the game right now, and yeah, they're always
I appreciate that,
duking it out at the top. Well, it's like you guys, Wolfpack, Vanguard, Ma 1. I mean, that's kind of sums it up, really.
That's how my GACs are too, brother. Like, I'm matched up right now. It's all Shadowlands, Caw Patrol, Maw, Red Machine. It's all the heavy hitters from all
you call them the
Conquest guilds, right? Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's normal, man. It's
the rarefied air. It's up at the very, very tippy top of PvP, and it's an interesting thing because I've dipped my toe in, obviously not at the level up there or anything, and it's just a different almost game, once you get into the gauntlet, and it's kind of a strange one because it's not everybody's really built for it. And I don't say that in an insulting way. It's just there is a lot of commitment to being a gauntlet guild that is competitive. You have to, be able to do your counters when they're needed. You have to mod the compliance. You have to stream battles. You have to do all this stuff. You have to practice your counters. You got to make sure that you're not the one guy out of 50 that drops his counter. So it's like constant work, trying to get better, trying to find different counters, trying to test those counters, see if they're better than the ones you already got, like et cetera. There's so much that goes on up there that doesn't really happen outside of, there's a couple of guilds outside the gauntlet that I think are really great on that kind of stuff, like GSF Alpha and Alpha Squad is really good. They're good territory war guilds that are not in the gauntlet. There's a couple like that, but for the most part, it's almost a gauntlet only thing. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do at TI is, because they were up with you guys, they were up at the very, very top, right? Like they were just up there, and now it's like we're rebuilding. We don't have full 50, but we're at 340 something million, 350 million. So we're like just still almost in the gauntlet, and it's just like, man, we need like 8 more dedicated people that can basically come in and be able to do these kind of things. And, we get some people that come in and they're like, see what's being asked of them, and they're like, I don't want to do this, and they just leave. And we got some that come in, they're like, I don't know if I can, but I'll try. And it's like, okay, you might work out. Like, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I mean, I was in TI, I was in Wallet Warriors, I was with the Dark Lords guys. So I've been around. I've seen all the management strategies with all the guilds, and it's tough, man. But my hat's off to you to trying to get it up and running again, man.
Well, it's like Azrael is the man with the plan, but it was one of those, like I was one of the guys tipped to come in and kind of handle TW and stuff, and so I'm like, all right, well, I'll see if I can do this. All right. Anyway, so you can catch SirLoki. DJ SirLoki is his Twitch name. So SirLoki over on RSG. He streams over there with Ranger. So go check them out. It's a lot of fun. I'm gonna have a link to their Twitch in the description down below, and also to their YouTube channel. If you guys are still live on that, I don't follow the YouTube as much as I do Twitch.
We still do YouTube. It's with our we just had our 5-year anniversary over the weekend, so we've been streaming Star Wars Galaxy Heroes every Wednesday night on YouTube, and that's where we basically started, and we kept on it. But we do our GACs on Twitch because we're Ranger is part of the GAC Center with Nev, and then I'm participating in that whole thing, for fun.
Yep, and same here.
So that's where we are. GACs on Twitch, and then our regular fun streams, SWGOH content, lunch streams are on YouTube. So
Roger that. So I'll have a link to the YouTube as well in the comments section down below. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me again, man. I really appreciate that. It was a hell of a chat, and I think it's going to be a great listen for everybody, so I feel really good about that one. As always, guys, hope you guys got yourselves locked in and didn't miss out on this week's GAC. I know a couple of people in my chat forgot. They were busy with work, and they're like, I forgot to sign up. So hopefully you weren't one of those people. with that in mind, hope you guys are going 3 for 3 this week. Let's see if we can't get a perfect score across the whole icebox here. As always, have a good one.